You feel it, don't you? That constant pressure, that voice whispering in your ear, hurry up, move faster, do more, time is running out, time is slipping away, time is your enemy. But what if I told you that this very urgency, this desperate chase after time is the exact thing that steals it from you? Right now, as you listen to these words, your mind is probably already racing ahead, planning tomorrow, replaying yesterday, calculating how much time you have left, how much you need to accomplish, how far behind you already are. Stop. Feel your breath. Just one breath. Where did that moment go? It passed through you like wind through an open door. You cannot hold it. You cannot save it. You cannot speed it up or slow it down. Yet most people spend their entire lives trying. They run through their days like water rushing downstream, always moving towards some imagined destination where they will finally have enough time, where they will finally be enough, where they will finally arrive. But the river never arrives anywhere. It simply flows. Watch a master craftsman at work. See how his hands move with deliberate precision. No wasted motion, no hurried gestures. Each cut, each stroke, each placement happens in its perfect moment. He does not rush the wood. He does not fight the grain. He moves with it as if time itself were his partner in creation. This is the first truth. Urgency creates the very scarcity it fears. When you chase time, it runs from you. When you grasp at moments, they slip through your fingers like sand. When you demand more hours in your day, the ones you have feel shorter, thinner, less substantial. Think of a deer drinking at a stream. Every few seconds, its head snaps up, eyes scanning for predators. It drinks in sips, never fully present to the cool water, never truly satisfied. Its survival depends on this constant vigilance, this perpetual readiness to flee. You have become this deer. Your nervous system, evolved for ancient dangers, now treats every deadline like a charging predator. Every notification like a threat. Every moment of stillness like a vulnerability. Your body floods with stress chemicals meant to help you run or fight, but you cannot run from time. You cannot fight the clock. So you remain trapped in a state of perpetual emergency, drinking your life in anxious sips, never fully present, never truly satisfied. But what if there was another way? What if instead of running from the tiger of time, you turned to face it and discovered it was only your own shadow? Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your body in this chair. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. Notice that in this moment, this single irreplaceable moment, you are not late for anything. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. This is presence. This is power. The ancient warriors understood something that we have forgotten. They knew that in battle, the fighter who rushes dies first. The one who panics becomes predictable. The one who forces the moment breaks under pressure. Victory belongs to those who can find stillness in chaos, clarity in confusion, patience in pressure. They called this state motion, the mind without mind. Not empty, but vast. Not slow, but perfectly timed. Like the hawk that circles for hours, then strikes in a single fluid motion. Your breath is your gateway to this state. Right now, place your hand on your chest. Feel the rise and fall. This rhythm has been with you since your first moment on earth. It will be with you until your last. It asks nothing of you but awareness. It demands nothing but recognition. Yet in this simple act of breathing consciously, you tap into something profound. You access what the ancients called temporal sovereignty, the ability to be the master of your own time. Watch what happens when you breathe slowly, deliberately. Your heart rate settles, your mind quiets. The frantic chatter of thoughts begins to space out, like cars on a highway as traffic clears. In this space between thoughts, something remarkable occurs. Time dilates. A single minute can feel like 10. A single breath can contain eternity. This is not metaphor. This is measurable, observable reality. When your nervous system shifts from stress to calm, your perception of time literally changes. What felt rushed and cramped suddenly feels spacious and rich. Most people experience this accidentally. There's the moments of crisis when everything slows down, in the zone during sports, in the flow state of creative work. But you can access this state deliberately, consciously, whenever you choose. The second truth: you cannot manage time, but you can master your relationship with it. Time is not a resource to be hoarded or spent. It is not a river rushing toward a waterfall. It is not running out. Time is the canvas upon which you paint your life. And like any artist knows, the quality of the painting does not depend on the size of the canvas. It depends on the presence and skill of the artist. You have been trained to think of time as quantity, minutes, hours, days, years. But the masters know time as quality, mites, depth, richness, presence, aliveness. A single moment of complete presence contains more life than 1,000 moments of distraction. One conscious breath holds more peace than 100 rushed inhalations. A single act of full attention creates more value than hours of scattered effort. Think of a mother watching her child take first steps. In that moment, nothing else exists. No past regrets, no future worries, just this perfect, eternal now. The moment expands to hold infinite love, infinite possibility, infinite meaning. This is your natural state. This is how you were meant to experience life. But somewhere along the way, you learn to fragment your attention, to split your consciousness across multiple timelines, reliving the past, rehearsing the future, anywhere but here, anytime but now. You learn to treat each moment as a stepping stone to the next one, never arriving, always traveling, like someone walking through a beautiful garden while staring at a map, missing the roses for the route. The third truth: stillness is not the absence of action, but the source of right action. Stand by a still lake at dawn. The surface mirrors the sky perfectly, reflecting every cloud, every bird, every subtle shift of light. But disturb the water with a single stone, and the reflection fragments into 1,000 dancing pieces. Your mind is this lake. When still, it reflects reality clearly. You see situations as they are, not as your fears or desires paint them. You respond from wisdom, not from reaction. You act from center, not from chaos. But when stirred by urgency, by the constant stones of worry and hurry that you throw into its surface, your mind cannot reflect clearly. Everything becomes distorted. Decisions become desperate. Actions become scattered. This is why the busiest people often accomplish the least of lasting value. They are stirring the water constantly, never allowing it to settle enough to see clearly. The master of time learns to protect the stillness of their inner lake. They develop what the warriors called stable mind, the ability to remain centered, regardless of external circumstances. This does not mean becoming passive or slow. A still lake can generate tremendous power when channeled through the right outlet, but the power comes from the depths of the stillness, not from the surface agitation. Watch a master archer. Before the arrow flies, there is a moment of perfect stillness. The bow drawn, the target clear, the breath held. In this moment of supreme quiet, all the power gathers. Then in one fluid release, the arrow finds its mark. Your life can become this arrow. But first you must find your stillness. You must learn to draw your bow fully before releasing your energy into the world. Most people shoot arrows while running, wonder why they miss their targets, then run faster and shoot more arrows. They fill their days with motion, but create little momentum. They confuse activity with achievement, busyness with business, movement with progress. The fourth truth: the present moment is the only place where transformation is possible. You cannot change the past. It exists only in memory, and memory is present moment awareness of something that happened before. You cannot control the future. It exists only in imagination, and imagination is present moment creativity about something that might happen later. All power, all possibility, all choice exists right here, right now. Yet most people live as refugees from the present moment. They flee backward into regret or forward into anxiety, spending their lives anywhere but where they actually are. This is the ultimate waste of time, to be alive but not present to your own life. Right now, feel the weight of your clothes on your skin. Notice the temperature of the air you are breathing. Hear the subtle sounds around you that you had stopped noticing. This is your life, not the story of your life, not the plan for your life, but life itself, happening now. In this simple act of attention, you reclaim your sovereignty over time. You stop being time's victim and become its collaborator. The ancient texts speak of warriors who could slow down time in battle, who could see the path of an arrow and step aside calmly. Modern science calls this time dilation under stress, but the ancients knew it as the natural result of complete presence. When you are fully here, time becomes workable, malleable, spacious. When you scatter your attention across past and future, time becomes your master, dragging you along in its wake. The choice is always yours. In every moment, you can choose presence or distraction, stillness or chaos, quality or quantity. Your breath is your anchor to this choice. When you notice your mind racing ahead or falling behind, return to your breath. Let it guide you back to this moment, this place, this life that is actually happening. Feel how your ribcage expands as air enters your lungs. Notice the brief pause at the top of the inhalation. Follow the gentle release as the breath flows out. In this simple cycle, you find the rhythm that connects you to all life, all time, all possibility. The mountain does not hurry through seasons. The oak does not rush its growth. The tide does not speed its turning. Yet everything unfolds in perfect timing, according to laws deeper than urgency, wisdom older than worry. You are part of this same intelligence, this same perfect unfolding. When you align with it instead of fighting it, you discover that you have not been running out of time. Time has been waiting for you to come home. The paradox reveals itself: the faster you try to go, the more time slips away. But when you slow down enough to be present, time becomes your friend. When you stop chasing moments, they begin to reveal their gifts. When you learn to breathe consciously, to stand still in the center of your own life, to act from presence rather than pressure, you discover something remarkable. You have all the time you need. You always have, you always will. The question is not how to get more time. The question is how to be more present to the time you have. And that answer lives in your next breath, and the one after that, and the one after that. Time is not running out. Time is opening up, right here. Right now, can you feel it? But here's what most people don't realize. The very mind that seeks this peace is the same mind that destroys it. You sit in stillness, breathing consciously, and what happens? Thoughts arrive like uninvited guests at a sacred ceremony. You're wasting time sitting here. You should be doing something productive. This isn't working. You're not good at this. The mind rebels against its own liberation. Why does this happen? Why does the very intelligence that could set you free instead become your jailer? Listen carefully. Your mind was never designed to be your master. It was designed to be your servant. But somewhere in your development, the roles reversed. The servant took over the house while the true owner slept. Now you live as a guest in your own consciousness, asking permission from your thoughts to feel peace, begging your emotions for approval to be happy, negotiating with your fears for the right to take action. This is the rebellion. Your mind fighting against the very awareness that could transform it. Think of a wild horse that has never been broken. When you first approach with a bridle, it rears and kicks. It fights with everything it has because it doesn't understand that the bridle will give it purpose, direction, power channeled instead of scattered. Your thoughts are this wild horse. They have run free for so long, creating chaos in your inner landscape that when you attempt to bring consciousness to them, they resist with tremendous force. Who are you to observe us? They seem to say, we are your reality. We are who you are. Without us you are nothing. But this is the great lie. The fundamental deception that keeps most people trapped in mental suffering their entire lives. You are not your thoughts, you are the space in which thoughts appear and disappear. You are not your emotions, you are the sky through which emotional weather passes. You are not your memories. You are the eternal witness of all experience. Yet your mind will fight this truth with every weapon it possesses. It will create doubt. This is just spiritual nonsense. It will create fear. If I'm not my thoughts, who am I? It will create urgency. Stop wasting time with this philosophical stuff. The mind's rebellion has three primary strategies, and once you understand them, you can begin to work with them instead of being controlled by them. The first strategy is distraction. The moment you begin to watch your thoughts, the mind immediately creates something more interesting to think about. A problem to solve, a memory to relive, a future scenario to plan. It's like trying to observe a mischievous child who keeps pointing behind you and shouting, "Look over there." The mind knows that its power depends on your unconscious participation. The moment you step back and watch, its grip weakens. Right now, as you listen to these words, notice what your mind is doing. Is it following along completely, or is it periodically wandering off to other concerns? This wandering is not a mistake. It's not a sign that you're bad at concentration. It's the mind doing exactly what it has been trained to do. Avoid being observed. The second strategy is judgment. When distraction fails, the mind becomes the critic. You're not doing this right. Other people are better at this than you. You've tried this before and it didn't work. You're too old, too young, too damaged, too busy to change. These judgments feel so reasonable, so based in reality, that most people accept them as truth. But watch closely. Who is judging? Who is creating these assessments? The same mind that benefits from keeping you unconscious. It's like a corrupt judge presiding over his own trial. Of course he's going to find himself innocent, and the prosecutor guilty. The third strategy is identification. This is the most subtle and powerful weapon in the mind's arsenal. When distraction and judgment fail, the mind says, fine, you want to be spiritual. You want to be conscious. Great mind says, I'll be the spiritual. I'll be the conscious one. Suddenly your thoughts become about enlightenment instead of mundane concerns. You think about presence instead of being present. You analyze your awareness instead of resting in it. The mind has successfully co-opted your awakening and turned it into another form of mental activity. This is why so many people can talk brilliantly about consciousness but still live unconsciously. They have learned to think about presence without ever actually being present. So how do you work with this rebellion instead of being defeated by it? The answer lies in understanding the difference between resistance and acceptance, between fighting the mind and befriending it. Watch a master martial artist facing an aggressive opponent. He doesn't meet force with force. He doesn't try to overpower the attack. Instead, he accepts the energy of the assault and redirects it. He uses the opponent's own momentum to defeat him. This is how you work with the rebellious mind. You don't fight your thoughts, you redirect them. You don't suppress your emotions. You allow them to flow through you. You don't resist your mental patterns. You observe them with curiosity instead of judgment. When a thought arises that disturbs your peace, don't push it away. Don't judge it as wrong or bad. Simply notice, interesting. There's a thought about inadequacy arising, or I see the mind is creating worry about tomorrow. This simple act of naming what you observe creates space between you and your mental activity. In that space, choice becomes possible. Power returns to its rightful owner. But here's what will surprise you. The moment you stop fighting your thoughts, they begin to lose their power over you. The wild horse stops kicking when it realizes the bridle isn't meant to hurt it. Your mind rebels because it thinks you want to destroy it. But you don't want to destroy your mind. You want to liberate it. You want to restore it to its proper function as a powerful tool for creating and problem solving, rather than a runaway generator of suffering. Think of the difference between a river flowing within its banks and a flood destroying everything in its path. Both are water, but one serves life while the other creates chaos. Your mind can be either the river or the flood, depending on whether it flows within the banks of awareness or runs wild without consciousness to guide it. The practice is simple but not easy. Throughout your day, return again and again to the role of observer. When you catch yourself lost in thought, don't create a story about how you failed. Simply return. When you notice yourself swept away by emotion, don't judge the emotion or yourself. Simply return. Return to what? Return to the awareness that is always here. The consciousness that was present before the thought arose and remains after it passes. The stillness that exists in the center of all mental activity. This awareness is not something you need to create or achieve. It's something you already are. The mind rebels against recognizing this because it threatens the mind's position as the center of your identity. But you are not the center. You are the space in which all centers appear and disappear. You are not the storm. You are the sky through which all storms pass. You are not the waves. You are the ocean depth that remains unmoved, regardless of surface activity. When you truly understand this mind not as a concept but as a lived reality, the mind's rebellion transforms into the mind's surrender. The servant returns to its proper place, and you reclaim your throne as the conscious ruler of your inner kingdom. But until this recognition stabilizes, you must be patient with the process. The mind has been running the show for years, perhaps decades. It won't give up control easily. Expect resistance. Expect setbacks. Expect moments when the old patterns seem stronger than ever. This is not failure. This is the mind's last desperate attempt to maintain its dominance. Like a fever that spikes just before it breaks, the mind's rebellion often intensifies right before surrender occurs. The key is to neither fight the rebellion nor be discouraged by it. Simply continue to return to awareness, continue to observe without judgment. Continue to breathe consciously and rest in the space between thoughts. Each time you do this, you strengthen the neural pathways of consciousness and weaken the neural pathways of unconscious reactivity. Each moment of awareness is a vote for the life you truly want to live, and gradually something remarkable begins to happen. The gaps between thoughts grow longer. The emotional storms pass more quickly. The mind's voice becomes one sound among many, instead of the dominant narrator of your experience. You begin to access what the ancient traditions called witness consciousness, the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. From this vantage point, you can choose which thoughts to follow and which to let pass. You can feel emotions fully without being overwhelmed by them. You can use your mind as a tool rather than being used by it as a weapon. This is true freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to choose your response to whatever arises. Not the freedom from all challenges, but the freedom to meet challenges from a place of centeredness rather than reactivity. The mind's rebellion, when properly understood, becomes the mind's redemption. The very resistance that once trapped you becomes the energy that liberates you. The thoughts that once tormented you become the raw material for conscious creation. But this transformation requires something that most people are unwilling to give: consistency. Daily practice. Moment by moment return to awareness. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient. But as a sacred commitment to your own liberation. Because here's the truth that the rebellious mind doesn't want you to know. You already have everything you need to be free. The prison is unlocked. The door is open. You have always been holding the key. The question is, will you use it? Most people never answer this question. They carry the key their entire lives, polishing it, studying it, talking about it with others who also carry unused keys. They become experts on locks and keys and freedom, but they never turn the key in their own prison door. Why? Because using the key requires something that terrifies the conditioned mind, stepping into the unknown territory of your authentic self. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue living as you have been, minus reacting automatically, thinking compulsively, seeking yourself in external achievements and other people's opinions. Or you can begin the most important journey of your existence, the journey from the false self to the true self, from the surface to the center, from the actor to the director of your own life. But understand this clearly. Awakening is not a destination you arrive at someday when you've meditated enough or read enough books or attended enough workshops. Awakening is a way of being that you can choose right now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this eternal moment. That is the only place you actually exist. What does it mean to live from your center? Your center is not a location in your body, though you may feel it in your chest or belly. Your center is not a mental concept, though your mind will try to make it one. Your center is the still point of pure awareness from which all experience arises and to which all experience returns. When you live from this center, something fundamental shifts in how you meet life. Instead of being tossed around by external circumstances like a leaf in the wind, you become like the mountain moved by storms, unchanged by seasons, yet fully present to whatever weather passes through. This doesn't mean you become cold or detached. A mountain supports entire ecosystems. Rivers flow from its slopes. Life flourishes in its valleys. The mountain gives generously while remaining utterly itself. Living from your center means you can engage fully with life while never losing yourself in life's drama. You can feel deeply without drowning in emotion. You can act decisively without being driven by compulsion. You can love completely without needing anything in return. But how do you find this center when everything in your world seems designed to pull you away from it? The answer is simpler than your mind wants it to be. You don't find your center. You stop abandoning it. Right now, feel the weight of your body. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Sense the aliveness that flows through your arms, your legs, your torso. This aliveness, this presence, this aware being that you are minus, this is your center. It has never left you, you have left it. Every time you lose yourself in anxious thinking, you abandon your center. Every time you seek validation from others, you abandon your center. Every time you resist what is happening in favor of what you wish were happening, you abandon your center. The practice of awakening is the practice of catching yourself in these moments of abandonment and choosing to return home to yourself. But here's what makes this challenging. Your entire culture, your entire conditioning is designed to keep you away from your center. From the moment you could walk, you were trained to look outside yourself for worth, meaning, direction, and identity. You learn to measure your value by external metrics, rankings, grades, achievements, possessions, relationships, status. You learn to trust other people's opinions about you more than your own inner knowing. You learn to fear disapproval more than betraying your authentic self. This conditioning runs so deep that most people have forgotten they even have a center. They experience themselves as a collection of thoughts, emotions, memories, and social roles, constantly shifting and changing based on circumstances. They live their entire lives without ever meeting their true self. But you are not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here, listening to these words, feeling something stir within you that recognizes truth when it hears it. The authentic self that you are seeking is not hidden in some future version of yourself that you need to become. It is not waiting for you to fix all your problems or achieve all your goals. It is here now, covered over by layers of conditioning, like a statue covered by centuries of dust. Awakening is not about adding something to yourself, it's about removing what was never truly you to begin with. Think of a river that has become polluted over time. The water itself is not contaminated. Water is always pure, but debris has accumulated. Chemicals have been added, the natural flow has been blocked. To restore the river, you don't add different water. You remove the pollution and allow the river's natural clarity to emerge. Your consciousness is this river. The pollution is your unconscious thinking, your emotional reactivity, your compulsive behaviors, your need for external validation. Remove the pollution and your natural clarity shines forth. But how do you remove pollution that has accumulated over decades? How do you undo conditioning that began before you could even speak? Through small, consistent acts of consciousness, through micro moments of awakening that gradually dissolve the patterns that keep you imprisoned. Every time you choose to breathe consciously instead of holding your breath in tension, you remove a layer of pollution. Every time you observe your thoughts instead of being consumed by them, you clear debris from the river. Every time you respond from awareness instead of reacting from conditioning, you restore your natural flow. These may seem like small acts, insignificant in the face of a lifetime of programming. But remember, every river that carved a canyon began with a single drop of water. Every forest that covers a mountain began with a seed. Every awakening that transformed a life began with a single moment of choosing consciousness over unconsciousness. The key is to make these moments sacred, to approach each choice between awareness and automaticity as if your entire life depends on it, because it does. When you wake up in the morning, before you reach for your phone or jump into your day, take 3 conscious breaths, feel yourself arriving in your body, in this moment, in this life that is yours to live. This is not just breathing. This is choosing consciousness. This is voting for the person you want to become. When you eat, taste your food, feel the nourishment entering your body, express gratitude for the countless beings and forces that brought this meal to your table. This is not just eating, this is practicing presence. This is honoring the miraculous interconnectedness of life. When you walk, feel your feet touching the earth. Notice the air moving against your skin. See the colors and shapes and light that surround you. This is not just transportation, this is meditation in motion. This is remembering that you are part of something magnificent. When someone speaks to you, listen with your whole being, look into their eyes. Hear not just their words, but the human heart behind the words. This is not just conversation, this is recognizing the sacred in the ordinary. This is loving in its most practical form. When challenges arise, and they will arise, resist the urge to immediately escape into distraction or reaction. Breathe, feel your feet on the ground. Remember that you are the sky, not the weather. From this place of centeredness, ask, how can I respond to this situation in a way that honors both truth and compassion? This is how you build a life from the inside out. This is how you become someone who can remain calm in chaos, loving in the face of hatred, wise in the midst of confusion. Not because you've achieved some superhuman state, but because you've learned to access the superhuman potential that has always been your birthright. The ancient texts speak of warriors who could walk through fire without being burned, not because the fire wasn't hot, but because they had found the place within themselves that no fire could touch. This place exists within you. It is your unshakable center, your diamond essence, your eternal nature. But accessing this place requires tremendous courage. The courage to stop seeking yourself where you cannot be found. The courage to disappoint people who want you to remain as you were. The courage to trust your inner wisdom even when the whole world seems to disagree. Most people are not willing to pay this price. They prefer the familiar misery of unconscious living to the unknown territory of authentic being. They choose the safety of the prison over the risk of freedom. But you have already begun to choose differently. The very fact that these words resonate with something in you proves that your awakening has already begun. The seed of consciousness has already been planted in the soil of your being. Now it must be tended with patience, watered with practice, and protected from the harsh winds of doubt and cynicism. Some days the growth will be obvious. You'll feel more present, more peaceful, more aligned with your true nature. Other days it will seem like nothing is happening, or even like you're moving backward. This is normal. This is how consciousness grows, not in a straight line but in spirals, sometimes seeming to return to old patterns before emerging at a higher level of integration. Trust your innate capacity for awakening. Trust that every moment of awareness, no matter how brief, is contributing to a transformation that is deeper and more profound than your thinking mind can comprehend. And remember, you are not doing this just for yourself. Every person who awakens to their true nature contributes to the awakening of human consciousness as a whole. Every individual who breaks free from unconscious patterns makes it easier for others to do the same. Your personal liberation is a gift to the entire world. This is the ultimate paradox, the most selfish thing you can do. Awakening to your true self is also the most selfless thing you can do. When you stop seeking yourself outside, you become a source of light for others who are still lost in the darkness of external seeking. When you find peace within, you radiate peace into a world that desperately needs it. The time for preparation is over. The time for waiting until conditions are perfect is over. The time for believing you need to be different than you are right now is over. The door to your authentic life stands open. The key is in your hand. Your breath is calling you home to yourself. Your heart is beating the rhythm of awakening. Right now, feel that rhythm. Right now, take that breath. Right now, make the choice that every awakened being throughout history has made, not the choice to live from truth rather than fear, from presence rather than distraction, from love rather than need. The question that began this journey returns with new power. Will you use the key? But now you understand that the key has always been in your hand. The door has always been open. The freedom you seek has always been your natural state. Time is not running out. Time is opening up. Life is not wasting you. You are awakening to life. The paradox completes itself. When you stop seeking time, you find eternity. When you stop chasing life, life begins to live you. When you stop abandoning your center becomes the source from which everything else flows. This is your invitation. This is your moment. This is your breath. What will you choose?